Hey, welcome. If you're running a business that relies on heavy equipment, you already know that buying your next machine is, well, it's one of the biggest decisions you're going to make. It's this huge investment that can either launch your business into the stratosphere or, honestly, it can become a total drain. So let's jump right in and figure out the smartest way to do this. First things first, let's be totally clear. That piece of iron sitting in the yard, it isn't just a tool. It's the heart of your operation. It's how you get the job done, how you make your living. It is literally your business on wheels. So, yeah, you need it, no question. But that passion for the machine has to meet the cold, hard reality of your bank account. The real question is, how do you get it in a way that actually makes you money and doesn't sink you? That's what we're going to break down right now. And that leads us to the first big fork in the road. Seriously, before you even start looking at brands or models, you have to nail down your strategy. Are you going to buy this thing outright and build an asset, or are you going to lease it and stay flexible? So here's the deal, right? Leasing, it usually means less money up front, and you have the freedom to switch up your fleet when you need to. But buying, man, buying is about building equity. It's a long game, for sure, but it can lead to some major savings and give you total control. Let's put some real numbers to this. An analysis from RIPA found that renting a small excavator for just 120 days a year could cost you around 36 grand. But owning that same exact machine, the annual cost could be less than $10,000. That's a potential savings of over 26,000 bucks every single year. Now think about what that means over the entire life of that machine. It's huge. And it's not just about the money you save. When you own your equipment, you are in complete control. You set your own rates. You can really cash in during peak seasons, like when the snow starts flying. Plus, as Ripa points out, when you have your own fleet, it just looks professional. It tells the market you're the real deal, and that helps you land bigger and better clients. Okay, so let's say you're sold. Ownership is the path for you. Great. Now you've got another big decision to make. Do you go for the peace of mind and that new machine smell, or the incredible value of something pre-owned? Look, I get it. There is nothing like getting a brand new machine fresh from the dealer. You get all the latest tech, the full warranty. That's a lot of peace of mind. But for the really savvy business owner, the used private market is where you can find an absolute steal and potentially save tens of thousands of dollars on a machine that's got plenty of life left in it. But here's the catch, and man, this quote from New Cap Leasing just hits the nail on the head. The second you walk into a traditional bank and say you want to buy a skid steer from some guy named Dave, their brains just short circuit. They get nervous. And that's honestly the biggest hurdle you're going to face in the used market. So how do you get around that? Well, according to the experts at NewCap, there are 3 things that are absolutely non-negotiable. 1, always get a third-party inspection. 2, check those serial numbers and make sure the seller has a clear title, meaning no one else has a legal claim on it. And 3, get your financing pre-approved. In the private market, speed is everything, and showing up ready to write a check gives you all the power. Which, of course, brings us to the next big step, actually getting the money to buy the thing. Doesn't matter if it's new or used, you need a financial partner who actually gets what you do. Now, check this out, because this is all about the cash you need to have on hand. Texas Gulf Bank says for new equipment, you're typically looking at a 20% down payment. But for used, lenders might ask for anywhere from 30 to 50% down. That's a huge difference, and it's something you have to plan for in your cash flow. And hey, here's a pro tip for you. Your loan payment doesn't have to be the same exact amount every single month. Lenders like Daimler get that some businesses are seasonal, so ask about things like skip payments or seasonal payments. It lets you pay more when you're busy and less when you're slow, so your expenses actually match your income. Pretty smart, right? All right, we've talked buying, we've talked financing, now we need to have a serious talk about the brutal reality of ownership that nobody likes to think about. This is where the love for the machine slams right into the cold, hard math. Just think about that for a second. That shiny, powerful machine sitting out there, that's not really what you bought. You bought a monthly liability. That's what the Heavy Machinery Club calls it, and it's perfect. You bought an invoice that shows up every single month, whether that machine is earning you money or not. The real cost isn't what you paid for it. It's that payment that never stops. And this is the biggest risk of all. Every second that machine is parked, it is actively costing you money. It's losing value, you're paying insurance on it, and your capital is tied up,
all while it's making you exactly $0.
And it doesn't stop there. Repair bills? They aren't nice and predictable. They are explosive. Insurance might cover a broken part, but it sure doesn't cover the jobs you lose because of downtime. And every dollar that's locked up in that piece of steel is a dollar you can't use for marketing or hiring. You have got to understand these hidden costs before you sign anything. Okay, after that little dose of reality, let's flip this around and talk about the upside. Because if you're smart, you can turn that monthly liability into a massive advantage, especially when it comes to your taxes. First up, let's talk about Section 179 here in the US. Honestly, this is a total game changer. Volvo CE explains that this part of the tax code lets you deduct up to $2.5 million of the cost of equipment, new or used, in the very first year you own it. That can drastically lower the amount of income you pay taxes on. But what if you're spending even more than that? Well, that's where bonus depreciation comes in. For 2025, it lets you deduct 100%. So after you've maxed out your Section 179, you can use this to write off the entire rest of what you spent, and there's no cap. Okay, so let's see how this all comes together. Let's say you go out and buy $3 million worth of equipment. You use Section 179 to deduct the first $2.5 million. Then you use bonus depreciation to deduct the last $500,000. That means your total deduction in the first year is the full $3 million. At a 21% tax rate, that is $630,000 in actual cash that stays in your pocket. This is how you make a huge purchase work for you. But, and this is a big but, there is a hard deadline. To get these incredible 2025 tax breaks, the equipment has to be bought and, this is key, put into service by midnight, December 31st. So yeah, the clock is definitely ticking. And that brings us to the final thought, a really powerful quote from the Heavy Machinery Club that just perfectly wraps all of this up. Buying the machine? That's the easy part. The real test, the true measure of whether you're ready, is knowing if you can actually afford the total real cost of owning it. That's the question you really need to answer.